For centuries, men have grappled with the enigmatic heart of female desire, often told a comforting tale of kindness and unwavering devotion. But what if I told you that beneath the surface, there lies a landscape far more primal, a hidden truth about what truly captivates a woman, a truth men rarely speak about, even to each other. Let's peel back the layers and uncover the forbidden insights that might just shatter everything you thought you knew about relationships. In my years as a psychologist, specializing in family dynamics and the intricate dance between men and women, I've had the privilege of witnessing the unspoken truths that shape our most intimate connections. I've seen the smiles and the tears, the grand gestures and the quiet resentments. And what I've learned, often through the raw confessions in my office, is that female desire is a vastly more complex, sometimes contradictory force than most men, and even many women, truly understand. It's not just about hormones, a simple switch that flips on and off, as many might assume. While hormones like testosterone do play a role, particularly in increasing desire, scientific studies indicate their role in women's overall sexual drive is often limited. Instead, female desire is deeply interwoven with a tapestry of psychological, emotional, and environmental threads. It's highly context-dependent. A woman might not feel desire in the same way or at the same time as her partner, and this isn't a personal rejection but a reflection of her unique internal landscape. Her stress levels, emotional state, the dynamics of her relationship, and even her physical environment all play crucial roles. Consider for a moment the concept of responsive desire versus spontaneous desire. For most men, desire often strikes spontaneously, a direct internal impulse. But for roughly 75% of women, arousal often comes after physical intimacy begins, rather than before. This is a completely normal and healthy pattern, yet it's often misunderstood, leading to feelings of inadequacy or confusion in relationships. Beyond these physiological nuances, there's a profound emotional memory factor at play. Neuroscience studies reveal that women's brains form stronger emotional memories around sexual experiences. The amygdala, emotional processing, and hippocampus, memory formation, show stronger connections during intimate moments in women. This means that every positive and negative experience leaves a more lasting emotional impression, significantly shaping future desire patterns. One negative encounter can have long-term effects, just as consistently positive experiences can. Build a robust foundation for desire. This isn't just theory. It's a lived reality that I've seen play out in countless relationships. Imagine the implications. A partner's patience, emotional safety, and ability to create consistently positive experiences aren't just nice-to-haves. They are fundamental building blocks for long-term intimacy. Then there's the undeniable impact of stress. Stress affects female desire more dramatically than male desire, and not always in predictable ways. While chronic stress typically decreases desire, some women might experience increased desire during specific types of stress. This means that if your partner is experiencing a dip in desire, it's often not about you or the relationship, but her overall stress levels and life circumstances. And let's not forget the mental load effect, the sheer cognitive energy women often expend on daily responsibilities, from household management to work stress and childcare. When the brain is preoccupied, it's far harder to shift into a mindset conducive to intimacy, a phenomenon often more pronounced in women. This is why, sometimes, the most romantic gesture isn't flowers, but a helping hand with dinner or a clear understanding of her day's burdens. Finally, social conditioning casts a long shadow. Many women experience an internal conflict, a desire discrepancy, between their natural desires and the societal messages about how they should behave sexually. This can lead to suppressing or not even recognizing their authentic desires, creating confusion about what they truly want versus what they believe is expected of them. It's a silent struggle that can make genuine expression difficult without a judgment-free environment. The unconscious drive for power and survival. The genesis of the dark side. Now, this is where it gets really interesting and often uncomfortable. Because if you strip away the polite society and the romantic ideals, what you often find at the core of female desire is something deeply ingrained in our evolutionary past, a primal drive for power, security, and survival. This isn't a judgment. It's an observation, echoed by thinkers from ancient philosophers to modern psychologists. Diogenes, that blunt truth-teller from ancient Greece, understood that desire doesn't obey rules or live in virtue, but in power, self-possession, and unapologetic realness. He saw that women often choose men who command, who do not flinch, who do not beg for validation, activating something deep and unconscious. In a very real-world manifestation of this, we see concepts like man-keeping and emotional gold-digging emerge. These terms describe the often unrecognized emotional labor many women undertake to meet the emotional needs of their male partners. A researcher coined man-keeping after observing that women often become the central source of empathy, understanding, and intimacy in a man's life. This is often because men, particularly in modern society, experience a crisis of confidence as their skills in forming close, intimate friendships atrophy. Social pressures enforce manly norms, where needing others, especially other men, becomes associated with weakness, and warm attachments to male friends raise questions about masculinity. The result? Many men end up with no one else to turn to, making their female partner their sole confidant and emotional support. Here's the rub. While women often complain about the intense emotional labor involved in this man-keeping, some also find a certain power in it. When a man hands over the keys to his interpersonal world to his better half, she gains significant influence. And this power, while not inherently malicious, can be used by bad actors to manipulate. I've observed disturbing patterns where some women use this role to shape their partner's judgment of other people, isolating family members like grandparents from their grandchildren. It's a potent, often subtle form of control, where the woman, as the kin-keeper, the one who oversees family gatherings and wider connections, dictates who's in and who's out in the family narrative. The man, depleted by emotional gold-digging, may find his previously strong bonds with his parents inexplicably broken, his own voice replaced by the critical voice of his partner. This is a raw, uncomfortable truth, but one that surfaces far more often than we care to admit. Sigmund Freud, the pioneer of psychoanalysis, ventured into this dark continent of female sexuality, finding it taboo to tell the truth about it. He realized that female desire is chaotic, conflicted, and dangerously drawn to power. His clinical cases revealed women, respectable on the surface, who confessed to fantasies of being overpowered, humiliated, or dominated. This wasn't necessarily about evil, but about a craving for something real, a release from deep societal repression. Consciously, a woman might articulate a desire for tenderness and peace, but her unconscious symptoms could scream for domination and upheaval. Freud observed that society forces women into a performance of gentleness and restraint, but these buried instincts inevitably return through contradictory behaviors, emotional sabotage, and self-destruction in relationships. She might say, "I want a nice guy," marry him, then cheat on him with someone who makes her feel something real. This isn't hypocrisy, it's the fracture between her conscious self, shaped by culture, and her unconscious self, driven by primal cravings. Freud even dared to speak of penis envy, not in a literal anatomical sense, but as a symbolic desire for power, freedom, and assertion. He theorized that this envy could transform into a craving to dominate men, to psychologically cut what she could not physically own, often through manipulation like guilt trips, silent treatment, or withdrawing intimacy. He warned that some women don't just want a king to love, they want a king to dethrone. This is a profound, albeit provocative insight into the underlying power dynamics that often define female desire. The allure of the beautiful threat, danger, and unpredictability. This leads us to a fascinating and often counterintuitive paradox. While women may consciously express a desire for kindness and stability, their unconscious often craves something else entirely. Something I call the beautiful threat. This isn't a monster in the literal sense, not a brute or an abuser, but a man who embodies contained danger, light and darkness, capable of destruction but choosing restraint. He is not safe, but he is not reckless. He is not cruel, but he is not tame. He operates from a place of self-possession and strength, an aura of wildness that is mastered, not amputated. This tension between power and discipline, between danger and restraint, is the very essence of attraction. Why does predictability often kill desire? Because, as I've observed, women cannot crave what they have already conquered, cannot long for what is always there, or desire what is permanently within reach. Her biology simply doesn't allow it. The moment she knows you completely, she stops needing to feel you. Predictability, in this hidden language of desire, equates to extinction. It's a slow poison that, over time, transforms what was once alive into a corpse lying between you and her. Desire, in its rawest form, thrives on challenge, unpredictability, and the subtle feeling that she could lose you at any moment. When a man makes himself too available, too easy, too predictable, her attraction begins to fade. This is why the nice guy, despite his virtues, often fails to ignite that primal spark, while the man who is harder to reach becomes magnetic. It's a concept that modern neuroscience confirms. Desire thrives on intermittent reinforcement. It's the same principle that makes gambling addictive, that keeps us checking our phones hundreds of times a day. When a reward is guaranteed, the brain stops caring. When it's uncertain, dopamine surges. So, the man who makes her wait, who makes her wonder whose messages are a lightning strike because they are rare and unpredictable, he becomes unforgettable. This doesn't mean playing shallow games or being cruel. It's about embodying an aura of contained power, a man with depth, fire, and wildness who chooses creation over destruction. It's about an unwavering presence, a calm authority that commands attention without demanding it. This is the man who can stir her emotions, challenge her perspective, and keep her guessing. While stability is essential for security, without this emotional intensity and occasional tension, when controlled, not chaotic, desire fades. The social dynamics, status, competition, and image. Let's delve deeper into the external forces that shape female desire, forces that are often overlooked in the pursuit of love alone. Women, by their very nature, are often status maximizers. They are biologically tuned to climb, upgrade, and associate upward, to feel like they have won something the world envies. This isn't necessarily shallow, it's evolutionary. In tribal eras, partnering with a high-status male meant food, protection, and respect within the community. Today, this translates into a craving for a man whose image, platform, and public validation elevate her own. In my practice, I've seen how a woman's desire can intensify when she senses that other women also want her partner. This isn't a coincidence. It's a reflection of her inherent drive to pursue men who possess social proof. She might overlook you when you're single and available, but suddenly show interest when you gain attention from others. Her attraction, then, isn't solely about you. It's about how the world perceives you, and social proof acts as a silent amplifier of desire. This perspective can be jarring, especially for men who have been taught to believe that pure love and devotion are enough. But as Freud and others observed, women often care for feelings, for impressions, for illusions. They love the man who dominates their mind, not just their heart. They are loyal to how they feel about themselves when they are with a man, not necessarily to the man himself. If your presence stops elevating her image, if your name stops ringing in her bones like music, she may simply vanish. It's a brutal truth. What she wants isn't just love, it's status, reflection, the feeling of standing next to a man whose gravity makes her feel more real. If you don't provide that, you might just be a step on her staircase. She cares more about the aesthetic of the relationship than the depth of it. A man who photographs well, whose status boosts hers in public, whose name rings louder than her ex, even if he's toxic or inconsistent, can be more appealing. This is because, in her instincts, image equals survival. She'd rather cry in a high-rise condo beside a man who ignores her than laugh in a studio apartment with a man who adores her, if it means winning in the game of perception. This isn't about blaming women, but about understanding the deep-seated psychological patterns that shape their choices. The mask and manipulation, an evolutionary survival skill. Now let's talk about a word that often makes people squirm: manipulation. From an evolutionary standpoint, it's a survival skill. Not always malicious or consciously planned, but a deeply ingrained behavior designed to secure resources, protection, and a safe upbringing for herself and potential offspring. It's a subtle, often unconscious power tool of the weaker against the physically stronger. Just as a child manipulates parents for resources, and an herbivore extracts calories from plants, women in this framework have evolved manipulation skills to extract what they need from men. The book Practical Female. Psychology describes specific stages of manipulation that a woman may go through in a relationship. These are not necessarily conscious machinations, but rather predictable patterns of behavior that occur with almost mathematical precision. Testing the male. This is the initial stage where a woman, instinctually and often rationally, screens a man for his physical and leadership qualities. She needs to be sure he is strong enough to protect her and her children, given the higher risks and burdens she faces with pregnancy. This isn't just about hunting animals in the wild. It's about the ability to hunt company shares in the business field. She will always test a male she's sexually attracted to, because for a psychologically healthy woman, survival and sexual desire must harmonize. In these shit tests, she's verifying his congruence, his authenticity, his ability to be genuine and lead. She's assessing if he's a leader or a follower, a man or another dependent child. If he falters, if his frame collapses, she cannot trust him. Seeking communication. Once a man passes the initial tests and seems strong, her concern shifts to making him serve her exclusively. This stage is often masked as an innocent attempt to communicate more deeply. However, from an evolutionary perspective, she's using language to befuddle her partner, hoping he will serve her purposes. A strong man will sense this attempt to weaken him and may react by getting angry or withdrawing. Many arguments that seem illogical to men arise here. This is less about exchanging facts and more about her emotional ambiguity or disconnection, a subtle request for masculine leadership to deal with her out-of-control emotional state. Putting him to work. If a man opens himself emotionally in the way discussed above, the woman effectively owns the frame of the relationship. The active destruction of attraction can then begin as she starts to take over aspects of his life that affect his material interests. Purchase decisions might be made jointly, but are actually the result of her manipulation and his desire for peace. This can be as simple as her asking him to take out the trash or wash the cat, but these small acts incrementally establish her control. 4. Evolutionary selfishness. Once she succeeds in getting her formerly strong male to open up emotionally, her communication with him becomes solely for deriving something useful for her and her children. She may exhibit a total disregard for his psychological and material interests, placing him under a constant psychological double bind. For example, "If you don't open up to me, I'm not satisfied," simultaneous with, "As soon as you open up, I'll use that information selfishly for my own needs." The result for the man is often guilt, shame, confusion, leading to resentment and anger, and a progressive weakening that kills her sexual attraction to him. He is no longer the strong male she admired. Self-determination. In this stage, she signals that the relationship is ending, or about to. She expresses resentment and dissatisfaction, asserting her independence. She might say he is boring, too nice, doesn't understand her, or that sex without communication is a turnoff. This again induces negative feelings in the man. This process of Bettyzation, where a strong alpha male becomes secondary or subservient, often happens gradually and imperceptibly. It is in essence a psychological killing of the male. These patterns, whether conscious or unconscious, highlight a fundamental truth. A woman's true power isn't just in her smile or kindness, but in the invisible strings she uses to shape a man's mind. It's in the approval she gives and the cold silence she withholds. The silent treatment, in particular, is noted as a deadly weapon in her arsenal, testing whether a man will come crawling, begging for my smile or stand on your own. Most men fail this test, showing her she can break them without lifting a finger. The pitfalls for men, the nice guy syndrome, and the price of predictability. So, if this is the unconscious reality, where do men often go wrong? Often it's by becoming too safe, too predictable, too eager to please, what many call the nice guy syndrome. I've seen countless men programmed by bedtime stories with princesses in castles and movies where the loyal underdog wins. The girl believe that kindness, consistency, and emotional availability alone will keep her forever. They are taught that love is an equalizer, making the world safe. But this is the lie. Every kiss, every promise, every act of worship can, paradoxically, make a man smaller, and the smaller you became, the hungrier she grew, but not for you. In the silent code of female desire, safety is not love. Safety is death. She cannot crave what she has already conquered, cannot long for what is always there, cannot desire what is permanently within reach. Her biology doesn't allow it. The moment she knows you completely, she stops needing to feel you. This is the nice guy trap, the belief that being endlessly available is the same as being desirable. But it isn't. It's the exact opposite. When your attention is an endless ocean, free, unconditional, unlimited, it drowns her, it overwhelms and numbs. Conversely, when your attention is a rare drop given with intention, not desperation, she savors it, she thirsts for it, and she will do anything to feel it again. The cruel paradox is that the more you give without measure, the less you are worth. The less you give with control, the more valuable you become. Predictability is the slowest poison. It doesn't kill in a day, but silently, one small act at a time, until what once felt alive becomes a corpse lying between you and her. She may start to sigh when your name appears on her phone, scroll while you speak, compare you to other men. She might complain of boredom, even when you treat her like a queen and fantasize about men who make her doubt instead of the one who gives her certainty. Why? Because your love was never the problem, your predictability was. You became too known, too easy, too conquered, and, in her body, in her biology, in her instincts, conquered territory is worthless. Men are often conditioned to kill their fire, suppress their aggression, hide their ambition, mute their hunger to be accepted, becoming agreeable shadows of themselves. They trade polarity for safety, not realizing that safety is this slow poison. Carl Jung noted that the more you repress your shadow, the wild, forbidden parts of the self, the weaker you become, and women can sense that hollowness. Desire dies not because you're bad, but because you're incomplete. This is also why Freud warned against mistaking a woman's smile for love, or her gentle words for safety. He saw that many men confuse approval with love, believing that if they do everything she wants, she'll love them more. But while a woman might say she wants a man who listens to her every word, deep down she respects only the man who stands on his own. If she senses you've lost yourself, that you're no longer living by your own values, she will lose respect for you. And when respect fades, love often follows. The path to authentic attraction. Becoming the unshaken man. So, what's a man to do with these uncomfortable truths? It's not about becoming cruel or manipulative yourself. It's about self-mastery, about reclaiming your own sovereignty, and understanding the profound impact of your energy. The goal isn't to be a puppet, but to become the chooser, the standard, the gravity, the center of orbit, the fire she can't put out and can't possess. Here's the path to becoming the man who is genuinely desired, the man I call the beautiful. Threat, not through manipulation, but through authenticity and strength. Embrace a mission larger than her. This is paramount. If you orbit her, you will always be weak. If she becomes your entire purpose, she will despise you for it. Your mission, whether it's your craft, your business, your physical training, or a personal quest must be larger than her. A man with no mission collapses into neediness. A man with a mission radiates gravity. She doesn't want to be your world. She wants to be part of a world so vast she can barely take it in. This isn't about neglecting her, but about having a powerful, independent drive that illuminates her presence, rather than depending on it. Practice emotional restraint. Authentic strength isn't found in suppressing emotions entirely, but in mastering them. When anger comes, you don't lash out. You respond with calm, composed deliberation. When sadness comes, you don't beg for comfort. You process it internally or with trusted male friends, a therapist, or even a dog. Restraint isn't coldness, it's control, and control is the highest form of power. It means having the backbone to say no without guilt or apology, recognizing that your attention, time, and energy are scarce resources. Think of it this way. What happens when you are told no in life? You want it more, you fight harder, you obsess. Her nervous system is wired to respond to that challenge, not endless compliance. Cultivate scarcity of attention. Your attention is a valuable currency. When it's given freely, unconditionally, and endlessly, it becomes worthless. But when it's scarce, measured, and intentional, she will fight for every drop. This means stopping instant replies, not rearranging your life for every whim, and being selective with your words and gestures. It creates tension and mystery, keeping her intrigued and allowing her imagination to work. She checks her phone, wondering what you're thinking, not because she's a mind reader, but because you've created space for her to chase. This is not manipulation in the sense of lying or deceiving, but mastery. Control born of abundance, not weakness. 4. Confront fear through growth challenges. True power comes from living at the edge of your comfort zone, continually challenging yourself. Do what scares you. Start that business. Speak your truth. Face rejection. Build your body. Take the risk. Every time you confront fear, you sharpen your blade. Every time you avoid it, you rust. Comfort can lead to stagnation, and stagnation, as we've discussed, is a quiet killer of desire. The stoic man doesn't need her approval to feel whole. He stands tall in her silence, doesn't bend to her will, and remains unmoved like a mountain in a storm. This is the man she cannot break, and that is the man she cannot help but admire, even when she tries to fight it. Stand tall in her silence, pass her tests. Women will test you. They are polarity checks, instinctually scanning for your strength, your leadership, your frame. Every sigh, every argument, every sudden shift in mood, these are not random storms. They are weather patterns designed to test the structure you've built. The nice guy panics, apologizes, pleads, and in doing so, hands over the throne. The beautiful threat listens calmly, refuses to match her chaos, and may even silence her with a kiss, ending the fight in desire, not exhaustion. She doesn't want you to lose the fight. She wants to know you could win it, but choose not to. This immovable presence, this strength, excites her because deep down, she wants a man who cannot be broken. This isn't to say that love, kindness, and mutual respect don't matter. They absolutely do, forming the bedrock of any healthy, lasting relationship. The ideal partnership, as psychologists emphasize, is built on mutual support and respect, where power is shared, and both partners actively participate in its growth. True leadership in a relationship stems from self-assurance and the willingness to collaborate, not command. This means fostering communication, empathy, and providing emotional safety, particularly given the context-dependent nature of female desire and its susceptibility to stress and mental load. However, understanding these darker, more primal aspects of female desire means building that foundation with eyes wide open. It means moving beyond illusions and societal programming towards a more authentic, conscious partnership. Final reflections. On power, partnership, and personal growth. The journey to understanding female desire is complex, challenging, and often confronts our most cherished romantic illusions. We've explored the intricate layers, From the physiological nuances of responsive desire and emotional memory, to the profound influence of evolutionary drives for power and survival, manifesting in dynamics like man-keeping and the stages of manipulation. We've delved into the allure of the beautiful threat, a man of contained danger and cultivated mystery, and witnessed how the nice guy syndrome, with its predictability, can inadvertently extinguish the very spark it seeks to ignite. And we've recognized the powerful, often unspoken role of status and social proof in shaping a woman's attraction. But armed with this knowledge, you can move beyond being a puppet to unconscious forces or societal narratives. You can reclaim your sovereignty, cultivate genuine strength, and become the man who is truly desired, not just tolerated. This isn't about blaming or shaming, but about awakening to the deeper truths that empower you to build relationships rooted in respect, polarity, and an unshakable sense of self. It's about choosing to walk free, master of your own destiny, and in doing so, becoming irresistibly magnetic. Embrace your purpose, practice restraint, value your attention, and fearlessly pursue growth. For in becoming your most authentic, powerful self, you will attract a connection that is not only fulfilling but truly seen.